Well, Mike, you completed all the Friday the 13th films. Do you feel any sense of accomplishment?
I suppose so.
Oh my God, I was surprised by that answer.
I had to stop watching The Fall of the House of Usher. Like 3 or 4 episodes in to fucking finish these goddamn movies. So
They're comparable quality. Mike Flanagan, Jason X.
right. I was like, oh God. I guess we started this, so we gotta finish it.
Well, I gotta finish it before the end of October.
I
We're
know.
closing out our Halloween season with Jason X.
Oh, this sucks on so many levels!
I did take tons of notes,
Oh,
but I forgot them because I wrote them on paper. But I thought of the only note I'll ever need, and it's a take on an old saying: fool me once, shame on you. Fool me 10 times, shame on me.
I rewatched Jason X for this. It's the only one I rewatched because that's the movie out of all these I've seen the least. And I took one note, speaking of notes, which is I was
Amazing?
surprised. Well, no, I was
Best
surprised.
movie ever?
Well, that's in my head. I already know that. But the note I took is that I was surprised to find out that hockey's going to be banned next year.
Facial armor, used in a sport outlawed in 2024.
Yes, that's a note I took, yes.
This movie's old enough now. We're saying 2024 sounds like the slightly distant future. And now we're a year away from it.
Next year, everybody, hockey fans, look out. So, yes, Jason's 1 through 5, I should say Friday the 13th, 1 through 5, all very samey.
Yes.
Then they figured out they can no longer do this formula, and they deviate into utter madness and schlock. And I would say the second part of this 10-part film discussion, I will be more excited about.
There's definitely more variety. This is the desperate years. What can we do with this? Well, they started off part 6. I guess we'll start with that one. They did part 5. Everybody hated it. Jason wasn't in it. So it's kind of like the Halloween 4 of the series in a way, where it's like, we got to get Jason back. We got to remind people that this franchise is about Jason.
It took 6 films
Yes.
for them to figure out their formula that worked.
Yeah.
Freddy Krueger did it in 1. Michael Myers did it in 1.
Yeah,
This
yeah.
took 6 fucking films.
I would argue 4. I think part 4 is the quintessential Jason movie.
Okay. I guess by part 4 he's
But then they killed him because it was supposed to be the last
Yeah,
one.
he's the hulking maniac with the hockey mask and the machete. That's his signature look. And
But this is the first one because he wasn't in part 5. So part 6 is the first one that treats the character like some sort of icon. There's lots of great shots of him in this. There's the part when the RV flips over and he's standing on top of it, and there's all this smoke and fire around him.
yeah, there's a sea change with the 6th one. It feels very cinematic. It doesn't feel like a junk.
That's what I always say. Is
B-movie.
it's the only one in the franchise that feels like a real movie.
Yeah, fuck you, Jason.
Yeah, I mean it's well done. That's the one that starts off with 3rd Tommy Jarvis.
Yes.
And he's driving with his friend, Horshack.
Horshack from
some-
Welcome Back, Kotter.
Welcome back. No one knows what that is.
I think we said that exact same thing when I talked about this with Josh. No one knows that show.
Horshack's the guy Dustin Diamond punched his lights out on celebrity boxing. Then Horshack died. Then Dustin Diamond died.
Yeah.
So
I don't know if any of these things are related. They
they're
might be.
not. They're not. But so yeah, Tommy Jarvis is driving with Horshack during a rainstorm. They could have done this during the day, on like Sunday afternoon.
That's not this movie, though. This is stylized, atmospheric, smoke
okay.
machines everywhere movie.
And he's like, this has been bugging me.
Jason belongs in hell, and I'm gonna see he gets there.
Even though it's been a couple years, I just want to burn Jason's body, just to be certain.
Yeah.
So let's open up his casket. I was just thinking, like, okay, what you open up. How do you bring Jason back? You just open up the coffin. Lightning is a magic. Lightning's magic in movies. It brings Johnny Five to life. It gives him consciousness. It does whatever you want it to do.
Yes.
Lightning.
Well, the more direct comparison would be Frankenstein, because this movie's heavily inspired by the gothic old Universal horror movies.
Sure.
That was the direct inspiration for Lightning bringing back Jason.
Okay. Lightning hits a thing. Jason is electrified and comes back to life. So Tommy Jarvis caused 19 people to get killed.
Yeah.
And brings back.
Well, and dozens more in later sequels, if you count all that.
Oh, yeah.
But isn't it nice, right off the bat, the start of the movie, we have a character with some agency. Every other movie, he's like, I have to do something.
Sure.
Every character in every previous Friday the 13th movie just wanders around the woods having no idea that Jason even exists, and then they just get killed.
Yeah.
They have no idea what's happening throughout any of the movies.
Why'd I have to go and dig up Jason? Some folks have a strange idea of entertainment.
Those movies started off with little Jason. It was like I said in the last video, psycho kind of twist, or the real killer isn't Jason, it's the mother.
Right.
And then they're like, oh wait, Jason didn't drown. He grew up and he lived in the woods. Well, he gets killed. Then it's an imposter.
Yes.
Then he gets resurrected. Now he's an indestructible thing that can just get melted in toxic waste, burned to nothing, and then just regenerate.
His unique ability to regenerate lost and damaged tissue, I mean, it cries out for more research.
Yeah.
To the point where like the army is like researching him, and it's like, and it's just like, well, there's they never got in supernatural stuff. They never got like religious or like anything.
No,
like that.
it has its own, like by the time you get to Jason Goes to Hell, where it's like, oh, the only thing that can kill Jason Voorhees is this magic dagger. Yeah. You're like, what are we doing?
Yes, that's where they added that. They had the familiar stuff, the family. Oh, there's other Voorhees.
He had a sister. What?
6 is not the one where the girl has telekinesis powers, right?
No, that's 7.
That's 7. Okay, I didn't mind 7. We'll talk about that.
Okay.
Okay, so 6.
Do you remember which one has Jason in space?
Of course. Which should have been the title.
It really should have, yeah. They did
Jason-
Leprechaun in Space. That was the title of the movie.
It was schlocky as it was. Just call it Jason X, Jason in Space.
Yeah.
Anyways, 6. Then Tommy Jarvis goes around, and it's one of 2 scenes when a person in a jail cell forces a cop to go into the jail cell for them.
That's true.
I
That happens in
noticed
Jason
that.
Goes to Hell, too. 6 is the one, there's actual kids at the camp.
Yeah!
We set up our counselors. They're okay-ish characters. They're fine. But there's actual campers at the camp for the first and only time in this entire franchise.
Yes.
And it's little kids.
Yeah.
So, what were you gonna be when you grew up?
Funny little touches
Yes.
like that, where all the other earlier movies take themselves so seriously.
Oh, is this with the wacky hunters?
Yes.
That sucked. And these paintballers sucked.
It is funny, though, that they...
That shot where the guy's like, it's like, do, 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 do,
Yeah.
and he's trying to like hide, and he's like rolling around doing like pratfalls and stuff. And like,
Yeah, that's the type of humor that doesn't work. But the humor that does work is they're playing paintball, and then when they get shot, they put a bandana on that says dead.
Yeah.
It's like, that's funny.
Yeah. But it was never utilized.
3 of them get decapitated all at the same time.
No, I know, but like one of them who didn't get shot by paintballs, like Jason stabs him and then Jason ties the thing.
Oh, yeah.
Like that's the setup for that. So.
I suppose.
But Jason isn't clever.
Jason
until-
can't be silly, though.
Jason can't be clever or smart until he is. Like, how did he know in Jason Takes Manhattan? How did he know what was the transmitter for the radio? Like, how does a walking corpse understand that? Like, in 7 or 6, he pulls the power out, and then he also cuts a phone line in one of them. But that was a very specific piece of technology that even I wouldn't recognize.
That's true. Has Jason ever been on a boat? Probably not, because he drowned when he was a child.
Yeah, he probably doesn't like boats.
I don't understand the motivation of almost anything in Jason Takes Manhattan. So.
Oh, and then Tommy Jarvis's brilliant plan to lift a boulder that no man could lift onto a boat
It's somehow supposed to sink Jason, but it can stay on the boat.
Well, I mean, a boat can hold weight if it's.
Not that little boat.
I don't know. I don't know how much weight a boat like that could hold. But his plan is to throw a chain around his neck.
Yeah.
And then just throw it overboard. So if you could throw the chain over his head, he had no tightening or locking mechanism.
No, I guess it's just supposed to be gravity.
But then when Jason's down on the bottom, he just takes it off because it went on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So after he sinks Jason with the rock at the end of 6, he's A-okay with just leaving him there like that.
I guess he says something about like Jason needs to be put in his final resting place, which is at the bottom of the lake. I think it's like a mystical thing.
He's inventing
kind of.
his own mysticism.
Yeah.
He has no proof.
How he knows that this is going to work, I don't know. But then again, we have the Creighton Duke character in Jason Goes to Hell, who's just filled with exposition and lore that we've never heard before, but he knows everything about Jason somehow.
The only way to kill Jason Voorhees is to destroy his heart. Those FBI idiots destroyed Jason's body, so now he needs a new one. In a Voorhees was he born. Through a Voorhees may he be reborn.
He knows a magic dagger will kill Jason.
He knows about all these things that have never been mentioned before in the entire history of the series.
Well, that makes me think of a little girl in a pink dress, sticking a hot dog through a donut.
I wanted to ask you too about, I'm watching these on like that cheapo, not this Blu-ray set.
Is it the Paramount set?
Yeah, and you had mentioned before like the MPAA just cut out all the gruesome.
Oh yeah,
like
they
this
trimmed
feels
everything.
like, I felt like I was watching a TV edit.
Eddie.
Yeah, 6 and especially 7. That's the worst.
Yeah.
I've said it often, and I'll say it again. The ratings board raped my movie.
Where is this footage?
A lot of it doesn't exist anymore. There's some stuff from 7 that the only remaining copy of it was the director had like a work print on VHS. So some of that's on the Blu-ray, and it's like super low quality.
Sure.
Not enough where you can, restore it and put it back.
So it would
in
have
the
to be
movie.
like go find the negatives kind of thing.
I don't think it even exists. I think they tossed all that stuff out because Paramount didn't give a shit about these movies. It was like, once it's out in theaters, we're dumping it.
Melissa?
I mean, that's the reason you go to watch these movies.
Yeah. 6 not so much. Like 6 gets by. It does feel some of the edits are really jarring, where it's like, oh, they clearly cut something. But 7 is the one where it was directed by an effects guy, the effects guy that did the Garbage Pail Kids movie.
Oh.
So, prestigious filmography there with John Carl Buechler. But he's an effects guy and he directed the movie, so he had all these like gags planned. I think it might be the first one in the franchise that's like, we're going to build set pieces around all these bits of gore, and then every single one of them is just ripped out of the movie.
Well, that's the price of admission.
And then what are you left with? Because I guess if we're gonna talk about 7, aside from a great third act, it's telekinetic girl Carrie basically versus Jason, which is fun. But everything before that is like, whoa, this is some deja vu. All those boring characters next door. You have the bitchy blonde girl. You have the love interest. You have the eccentric writer character. He wants to write sci-fi.
Oh, right,
There's the nerdy girl. It's like all your bases covered with the most generic stereotypes. And then all the gore that would at least make this tolerable is gone from the movie. Mm-hmm. So aside from the third act, there's not a whole lot going on.
What I like about you,
What?
you hardly sweat at all.
Yeah, that one opens where the girl kills her father by knocking over the pier that he's on, right?
Yeah, her telekinetic powers
She has
goes a
telekinetic
little out
powers.
of control and she accidentally kills her dad.
She has powers for no reason.
Nobody asks to have telekinetic powers. It just happens sometimes.
I know, it's like 1 in every 5 people have telekinetic powers.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess it's likely that a Jason character would at some point.
I mean, we're 7 movies deep. It was bound to happen eventually.
Yeah, it's true. So they planned for a retreat and at the same place where she killed her dad for therapy reasons. But I think the therapist just wants to like make money off her.
Yeah, I don't
Put her
know.
on the Donahue show or something. And he has like ulterior motives that the mom discovers.
Yeah, he's not a good guy.
Yeah. And then
And they're right next door. Their cabin next door is a bunch of teenagers.
partying teens.
It's just like part 4, except with worse characters.
Yeah, and then she wants to be friends with. She falls in love with dude. They become the couple at the end. There's a couple at the end of every movie.
Yeah. Jason wanders around and kills him.
Jason shows up.
Yeah.
Wait, how does he come back? Oh, she brings him out of the lake with telekinesis.
She tries
flowers.
She tries to raise her dead dad from the lake with her telekinetic powers, but whoops, she accidentally resurrects Jason instead. That one is the best looking Jason. He's like rotting. You see his spine.
Yes.
And then his mask gets ripped off at the end, and it's like this awesome looking giant hulking zombie man.
Yeah.
And they have a great fight. And it's all, this is the first one with Kane Hodder, a famous stunt performer, so they utilized all that. She uses her telekinetic powers to strangle him and raise him off the ground and then throw him through the stairs.
There's a lot of,
set him
like-
on fire.
Yeah, there's lots of special effects. The proper term, special effects, not visual effects, but
Yes.
special effects. The porch collapses, is thrown through the window. It's like a bunch of stuff collapses and blows up.
Yeah, it
And
feels
a
kinda
house
big.
explodes at the end.
It's it's an exciting third act.
Yeah.
And everything before it is so boring and lame.
Yeah, she's shooting fire at him in the basement, and there's that. I was impressed with the action element of that one. It wasn't lame.
Well, it's like we were talking about the earlier movies where it's like, oh, he stabs someone.
Yeah.
And you just cut to a close-up of their face and they go, ugh. They go all out, even though most of it was cut out of the movie. But all the stuff with Jason himself and all the, the stunts and pyrotechnics and all that stuff is great. Shame it comes at the end of a mediocre movie.
But now, how does he die at the end of this one?
Oh, he ends up at the bottom of the lake again. Oh, the dad. The dad comes out of the water and pulls him under.
Now, how did that happen?
Psychic magic? Apparently, the original version, he was supposed to come out of the dad was supposed to come out, but he's supposed to be a rotting corpse because he's been down there for, 10 years
They
or something?
never retrieved his body?
I guess not.
That's kind of lame.
See, I kind of interpreted that as like her psychic powers were like pulling Jason under, but she, in her mind's eye, she saw her
Not
dad.
so
and
literal,
Yes, kind of like came to closure.
Sure.
Like her literal dad is not down there, because that's stupid.
Well, according to the filmmakers, it's supposed to literally be her dad dragging Jason into the lake.
I mean, he didn't die on Mount Everest. They just had to get a crane and move the broken pieces of a pier and retrieve his body.
Yeah. I don't know, they never took Jason out of the water
They
either.
leave him in 5 feet of water.
How many dead bodies are at the bottom of that lake at this point?
So wait, does he, when the father pulls him under, does he put him back on the ball and chain kind of thing?
I don't know if they specify.
He's just
He is
floating?
he is tied down at the beginning of the next one of Jason Takes Manhattan. So I guess that would be the idea, is that the zombie corpse dad chained him back up again. I don't know.
Her psychic powers wrapped him up. So let's move on.
That's kind of lame.
Jason, to part 8. Jason Takes Manhattan, aka Jason Gets on a Boat.
And then walks around some alleys in Vancouver.
They do shoot in Times Square. Come
Yeah,
on now.
they shot one night in Times Square for a movie called Jason Takes Manhattan. That was apparently all budget related. Like, it was all supposed to be in New York, and it just kept getting whittled down and whittled down. Like, there's a part on the rooftop where Jason's boxing that guy. And he punches his head off, and it falls into a dumpster. That was originally supposed to take place in, like, Madison Square Garden. So all these, like, set pieces.
Iconic New York locations.
Yeah, it was supposed to all be iconic New York locations, and then just one shot in Times Square, and that's all you get. It is kind of neat. The opening of the movie, we have all these like over the opening credits, these like montagey shots of New York, and you see in Times Square, there's like a big billboard for like Batman '89. It's like it's like a little time capsule.
Yeah.
There's some stuff I like about this movie. That opening credits, I like the song that's playing under
Is
it.
this the Alice Cooper?
No, Alice Cooper was 6. He did songs for part 6.
Oh, those songs suck.
The lamest Alice Cooper song.
I'm so sorry.
The Man Behind the Mask. Oh, no. Josh and I made fun of it. It's not a good song. It's really lame.
Can I also say something? I don't know if this will be controversial to you or not, but I really don't like, is it Henry Manfredini?
Harry Manfredini.
His music sucks.
It
It sounds like
works-
cheap B-movie music.
It works in the early movies where it's very like simple and
Yeah.
atmospheric, and then you
Yeah,
have, of
oof.
course, the but the Jason Goes to Hell score is so bad.
Yeah.
And that's Harry Manfredini, but it's like these like cheap, crappy synths.
Ada's not telekinesis girl. Ada's generic girl.
Ada's, graduating from high school, so they're taking a boat trip from New Jersey through the lake to New York City.
Well, how big is Crystal Lake?
I mean, it's a lake.
You can see the other side.
Yeah.
So there's a boat in Crystal Lake, somehow.
A big boat.
Yes, and I always thought Crystal Lake was just for like paddle boats and little canoes and stuff. But
Yeah.
apparently a large vessel can get into Crystal Lake.
Mm-hmm.
This is like a nightmare. I mean, I'm not even talking about the Jason killing part.
Even before that.
The ship itself is not. It's like a boat that's on the verge of being decommissioned, and it's like a working boat, like a fishing boat or a.
It's not like a luxury cruise
Yeah,
type boat.
they kind of mock up a little dance floor thing, but
Yeah.
you could tell by the cabins and the hallways and most areas of the ship that it's like a commercial vessel.
Yeah.
And it's like ugly and disgusting, and you have that fucker, their teacher.
Hey,
Oh, that guy. That guy was on Star Trek, wasn't he?
He definitely was.
Yeah.
He was.
Just say that's
yeah.
a Star Trek actor if I've ever seen one.
Yeah, he was in season 1. Him and 3 other characters, a lady and a big Texan, they get cryogenically frozen in the 20th century.
Oh.
And
kind of like Jason X.
It's exactly the plot to Jason X.
really?
And he's like the same exact character. He's like an asshole. He's like, how are my stocks
Well,
doing?
you look at that guy's face, like that's the role you cast that guy.
I mean, that
as.
guy's been in a million things.
Oh, yeah,
Going
character
back to
actor,
the
man.
Fucking 50s. But yeah, that's that guy. Where are my, let me see the New York Times. I must check my stocks.
I need to make a phone call as soon as possible. I have a substantial portfolio. It's critical that I check on it. Let the bank know that I'm alive. And
Yeah, so that's that guy. Also, Kane Hodder played a Jem'Hadar soldier
Oh.
in Star Trek Deep Space Nine at some point.
Okay.
But then again, Kane Hodder also has been in 900 million things. And probably a dozen other actors from all these Jason movies have been in small parts in Star Trek.
They're
Pointed
not
out-
going to be memorable like that asshole teacher guy.
Yeah,
Who's also the guardian of the main girl.
This is where it becomes confusing because this therapist from the last movie was the legal guardian of the crazy girl.
Yeah, no, the part 7, she has telekinetic powers. This one, she has a psychic link of some sort to Jason, and I don't know why.
Yeah.
But she's in like her cabin on the boat, and she sees little Jason, a
Yes.
little ghost Jason, but he's not deformed Jason, and I don't know why.
Well, no, the guy, a guy, tells her the story of Jason Voorhees.
you don't want to end up drowning like that Voorhees boy, do you? He never learned how to swim either.
And this is where I got horribly confused because he's like, okay, Jason Voorhees, he was a boy at this camp, Crystal Lake, and the counselors let him drown.
Yeah.
And then they start cutting to flashbacks. And they show a perfectly normal looking boy drowning in the water.
Yes.
And my thought was, if someone had told you that story, and they left out he had a horribly bald, deformed head.
Yeah.
I wouldn't picture a child with I would just picture a normal looking boy.
Okay.
And I thought that's what she was picturing. But then throughout the course of the movie, he gets more and more deformed.
Yeah. And I don't know why, other than...
It's like maybe the psychic link is getting stronger throughout the films.
But why does she have a psychic link to him at all?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't even remember this character.
Jason's on a boat.
Okay, so Jason's on a boat. It should have been called Jason on a Boat.
Yeah, that doesn't have the ring to it. I think it would have been a little bit, like, nobody likes this movie. This is like one of the least liked ones in the series. I think it probably would be liked a tiny bit more if it wasn't sold on the fact that it's supposed to be Jason in New York, since he's in it for like the last 5 minutes.
Right.
Because the idea, Jason on a boat, that's not bad.
Yeah. I mean, you're...
They do lots of things with him on the boat.
Right. Yeah. There's many boat things. And yeah, it could just be like, because that's what teens do.
Mm-hmm.
Like teens do go on like graduation trips, you know? They go, it happens.
Okay.
That's how Jason killed Natalie Holloway down in Aruba.
But you would think if you live in New Jersey, you would want to go somewhere farther away than New York.
Yeah.
Which you can probably get to quicker driving than on a boat.
Yeah, the idea of Jason on a boat, like, you set it in a different location and he's on a boat and the boat runs out of gas or he breaks the engine and it's stranded in the middle of the ocean, and that's the scary thing. Maybe you have sharks swimming around and so you can't jump off the boat.
Yeah.
Maybe someone tries, they get in a little life raft and a shark eats them, or Jason stabs the little raft, but you're trapped in a boat.
Mm-hmm.
You're trapped in a location, much like the woods. The phones don't work, they're deep, dark, spooky woods at night. The isolation is the key.
Yeah.
That's why the Manhattan
Surrounded
thing
by
doesn't
water.
work.
Yeah.
Because they're running around Times Square and they're just like, help us.
Yeah, there's
And they
hundreds of
didn't
people everywhere, but Jason, for no reason, just keeps following our main characters.
Yeah.
And I don't know why.
You don't understand. There is a maniac trying to kill us.
Welcome to New York.
You have that girl, right? There's the Star Trek guy. He's the professor. And she's like, Mr. Professor, I'm ready for my anatomy quiz. She's trying to like seduce him for better
the
grades.
slutty blonde girl.
Yes,
yeah.
and she draws all of her organs, right, on her body with like a Sharpie. And he's like, what? And it was like a setup to like frame him with
They were
a
trying to
video camera.
blackmail him to get a grade, as
but
opposed to just doing the projects to get a grade.
point
But
is,
I know where you're going with
yeah,
this.
you know
with
where
the-
I'm going
with
with
the
this.
organs,
You
yeah.
set it up like that, and then Jason goes, sees liver,
Pulls out the liver.
throws it, sees, kidney.
Yeah.
Well, kidney's back here, but whatever. Heart. And then,
Yeah. No, he like throws her face into a mirror or something.
yeah. There was a moment when it was like down to the last two characters and they're running away, and I just thought that he was just going to kind of look around and be like, ooh, people everywhere to kill with my machete, and then that was going to be the end of it. But
Jason should be like that zombie at the beginning of the Dawn of the Dead remake that's chasing after Sarah Polly's car, but then he gets distracted by another person
Right.
and just goes after that person.
Yeah.
He's in Times Square. He's surrounded by people. He
Yes.
should be hacking people up left and right.
Right.
But instead they do one stupid joke where he reveals his face to some punk rock kids.
Yo, man, it's cool. It's cool, man. It's cool.
And then he continues on, and they go down in the sewer, because where else would you go?
Right. Don't go to the cops. I guess they do go into a little diner.
Yeah, they go into a diner, and that doesn't go so well.
No.
But
By the way, that the cook in that diner, Jason grabs him and he throws him into the window or into the mirror. That's the guy that plays Jason in Freddy vs. Jason.
I feel like I'm talking to like a 14-year-old. I'm sorry. I do have respect for your intellect, but your love of these movies is embarrassing.
Does he think I'm a fart head?
That, by the way, that was the most disappointing thing, I think, maybe in my whole life.
What?
Was they finally kill that fucking Star Trek guy. All he did was complain.
Oh, yeah.
The whole goddamn... Even when they got in the little rowboat off the lifeboat, off the ship.
Yeah.
And they row, and they find the Statue of Liberty somehow. And they're like, oh my God, it's New York. He complains about where they dock the boat. Couldn't find a worse place to dock. I'm like, can this guy fucking die? Then they set up the toxic waste bin in the beginning with the rat floating around in it.
Yeah.
Jason picks him up and dips him into toxic waste. And I'm like, he better come out there looking like some RoboCop guy.
Oh, yeah. No money for that. No money for anything in this movie. That's why Jason looks like a Muppet at the end when he
But
takes his
then-
mask off.
But in Jason Goes to Hell, remember when that one guy, I don't remember which character, when Jason moved from one body to the other.
Oh, yeah.
That was great.
That's a part of the lore in that movie, is that when Jason body hops, the previous body just like turns into a puddle of goo.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that, for whatever problems Jason Goes to Hell has, the effects definitely isn't one of them.
No.
The effects in Jason Takes Manhattan, though, are god-awful. Especially when you compare the look of Jason without his mask on at the end of that movie to part 7, where he looks like this awesome zombie, and then in part 8 he looks like a sock puppet.
So at the end of Jason Takes Manhattan, the sewer fills with slime.
Toxic waste, son. The sewer floods out with this stuff every night at midnight.
Yes, toxic waste.
Toxic waste. They're trying to get out of the grate. They kind of get all high enough up the ladder, and then Jason melts, and then she sees his form as a little boy.
Yes.
Which I'm assuming is in her head, because
it would have to be, right?
It would have to be, because you're really bending the laws of physics there. Considering she has psychic properties or powers or whatever, and sees him floating through the porthole and all that. So then Jason is basically just sludge. Goes to Hell is a number of years later, which gives Jason time to like regenerate, I guess, right?
Sure.
Because he just like shows up. How does he appear in Goes to Hell? He just
shows up. Yeah. Which I kind of appreciate, because they're like, it doesn't matter. We're on part 9. He's just back. We don't need to explain. We don't need to have a dog piss fire to explain why he's back. He's just still around.
Do you remember when
the lack of logic is breaking your brain?
Remember when that one guy was, I think, they're in the camper. They're teens having sex in a camper.
In part 6?
I don't know which part. And he's like, he spooks the girl. He's like, hey, and he's got the hockey mask on. Because Jason didn't have his hockey mask.
Oh, you're talking about they're on the boat at the beginning of Jason Takes Manhattan. That's how Jason gets the hockey mask, because there's a guy with a hockey mask, and he kills the guy and the girl on the boat, and he takes the mask.
Yes, but the hockey mask also had that same iconic cut in it.
Coincidentally, yeah.
There was one scene you mentioned. This Goes to Hell, because I remember the guy with the nerdy glasses, who is friends with the mom from Silver Spoons, Erin Gray.
Oh yeah,
she's the diner lady.
Yeah.
And that she's the mother of the daughter.
She's Jason's sister that we never heard about before.
She's the mother of the daughter who has the baby.
Yes.
Who lets the waitress at the greasy diner.
There's a whole lot of interpersonal drama going on.
Leave a baby in a box
Yeah.
in the back of the kitchen.
Yes.
That's run by Leslie Jordan. Hey, what a cute baby.
You little cutie pie.
It'll be just as cute when it's on the fucking street. Now get it out!
Those are some fun supporting characters. Him and his big loudmouth wife or girlfriend or whatever that run the diner.
Poor Leslie Jordan gets his face put in a hot grease thing and then thrown out on the grill. And then that big dumb guy, and then the baby, and then, so he's driving and he picks up teens.
Yes.
Planning on smoking a little dope, having a little premarital sex, and getting slaughtered?
There's a guy and a girl and another girl, and she's like, want to come party with us in the woods? And he's like, no. So then they go in the woods. This is all a big, long setup, too. I think maybe one of the coolest kills is when Jason stabs the girl and he like cuts her in half.
They're having sex, she's on top, and he has like I don't know, it's like a spike from a tent spike or something.
He's something.
Just runs it right through her and splits her in half. Jason Goes to Hell is like the Last Jedi of the Friday the 13th series. It's like, yeah, you're doing something different. Doesn't make any sense. And doesn't go along with anything related to the franchise.
Are you okay with the Jason body swapping?
Oh, no. I mean, the movie itself is like an okay-ish horror movie. Like early 90s horror movie. It's like, this is all right. But as a Friday the 13th movie, it's like awful.
See, at that point, I was kind of okay with it because it was like different. It was like
It is different.
Invasion of the Body Snatchers or something. Like it was like, oh, okay.
It's different, but like I don't know. There's like we both notoriously defended Halloween Ends, where it's like for that sequel, it's a very different movie, but it still feels like thematically connected to the earlier Halloween movies. Jason Goes to Hell has like no connection to anything.
Right.
The lore doesn't make sense. The bounty hunter character knows all about this lore we've never heard of. How does he know any of this? It also, I rewatched that somewhat recently too in preparation for this. And it's also weird where it feels like a lot of early scenes were cut or something, because there's all these characters. There's the Erin Gray character, who's Jason's sister, I guess, and we meet her at the diner. And then she goes and she sits next to a nerdy guy with glasses, and she's like, there's something I never told you about Jessica.
There's something you don't know about Jessica. Something you should know.
They're like, who's this guy and who's Jessica?
Yes.
Who are any of these people? They just like start talking to each other as if they've already been established.
Yeah.
It's like 10 scenes were cut out of the movie or something.
Right.
It's very like clunky storytelling with that one.
Yeah, you're not really introduced because Bounty Hunter guy starts talking to her, and he's like, I know about Jason Voorhees. She's like, get out of here.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what? I'm like, she must know something. Who's that? Who are you? Like,
Right.
Yeah, and then the Voorhees house is now a thing.
Yeah, almost like the Freddy house, but that's never been established.
Yeah, or the Michael Myers house. It's just like, there's the Voorhees house. So I guess they're in Crystal Lake, which is now called Crystal Lake again, when the last movie changed it to like Forest Green.
Forest Green. They tried to change the name because it has such a negative connection.
Now it's back to Crystal Lake.
Yeah.
Because they show the sign and the guy picks up the hitchhikers. And they're like, now that Jason's dead, we're going to go have sex in the woods.
Yeah.
And then
the first like 10
walks
minutes of
back.
the movie are kind of fun because it's hitting all the cliches.
Yeah.
Like girl alone in the cabin, the light goes out, she takes a shower.
And she's like a secret operative, and there's like SWAT team guys.
Yeah. So
I thought that's how he ended up in the Crystal Lake Research Facility.
No, they don't explain how he ends up there.
Oh, okay.
He just is at some point.
So when they blow him up, how does he get back together again?
That's when he goes to the corner. They take his body to the corner.
They take him to the corner.
And the coroner has this unexplainable desire to just chew on his heart. So he eats his heart, and that is a part of the lore that makes him enter his body.
And then
he becomes a slug monster inside your body.
Yes.
And so he can body hop.
Yes, and then when he and even though Erin Gray has died and is in the basement, when Jason puts his slime ball into her mouth, because she's a family member, he can.
Well, he doesn't go into her mouth.
Oh, right! It goes up her. Then he's able to burst out of her body and become Jason again.
Jason with the hockey mask and everything.
Hockey mask and everything.
Yeah. He looks like fat. He looks like the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man or something. Kane Hodder isn't fat, but like the way they bulk up the suit, he just looks like this pudgy, cancerous testicle.
Why didn't he come out and be like a naked, slimy, disgusting, deformed, like adult baby? Like, wouldn't that have made sense?
It would have, but you got to have Jason in the movie, I guess. Like, so he has to come out with the hockey mask and the outfit and everything.
But then you establish that like local teens think it's funny to throw hockey masks on the front lawn of the house or something.
Sure. There's
Like-
one laying around for some reason.
Yeah.
Oh, there's the boyfriend character who's like the sleazy tabloid guy. He goes to the house and he's like talking about doing a news story.
Look, I am going to want to dress it though. Maybe we can put a few body parts in the refrigerator.
He could like plant a hockey
Oh,
mask
sure,
in the house. And that's
Right.
the reason there's a hockey mask, that Jason just puts it on at the
and
end.
Jason bursts up from the floor and he's like, he doesn't have like a penis hanging out.
You shoot it tastefully.
He's a neutered. Yeah, you can shoot it tastefully. He's a neutered man, but you have like this disgusting, slimy like skin and like all these veins everywhere and like and he's like and then he just looks around and he grabs the mask and he puts the mask on because it makes him feel like he's.
And you dolly in as he puts it on. It's like a big hero moment.
Yeah, and but he comes out fully clothed with like tattered clothes. I mean, I know these movies are made just to churn a buck out for like dumb teens.
Well, that's the weird thing about this one, is it feels like, I guess the director, he was like 21 years old when he made it, because he was a family friend of Sean Cunningham, who owns the rights to the series. So I think he was like trying to make something like creative and interesting and cool, but it's all so stupid. So this is the one, like the later, like part, 7, 8, those feel so just like cynical, we're churning out a product. So this one I think was like a young filmmaker trying to make something like interesting and creative.
It did feel very like artsy. It felt very 90s. It felt very like someone just saw a bunch of Tarantino movies.
There's
there's
a big there's a big action scene in the diner where like the lights go out and it's all like lit with blue light. It's in slow motion.
Yeah.
It's like, this is very film student-y.
Yeah, there's a different quality to it. But as far as I think with this, it was just a refreshing change, was the body jumping, the different characters. They weren't all just like dumb teenagers that just go, and he just walks
there's the main guy. He used to be in a relationship with the daughter. And they have a baby together, and he's never seen the baby.
The sleazy, like hard copy kind of anchor guy, and he's, then you got the mom and the waitress, but jumping from character to character. Yeah. And each one, they're like an unstoppable monster that just black goo comes out of them when they get shot. I don't know, and they can't die because they want to get the Voorhees immortality magic, and then there's a magic dagger.
And then there's a magic dagger. And then there's a cameo by the Necronomicon from Evil Dead 2.
Right.
So I guess that's supposed to be a hint that Jason is related to the Deadites or something. I don't know.
Just a little filmmaker nod thing.
Yeah.
This little wink, wink Easter egg thing. Mm-hmm. So because it was so different, I was okay with it. But yeah, it really threw a monkey wrench in the lore. The lore.
I mean, that's fine. Go in a different direction. But it's all just so like stupid. The gore is fun. It has some really like creative effects work in it. Like you mentioned, the melting guy and stuff like that is fun. It's like well executed, which is different for this series, where it doesn't just feel so cheap.
Now let's talk about a movie that has now entered my top 10 favorite films of all time, Jason X, aka Jason in Space.
See, this is one of those movies. It's like I don't know. It's, for me, it kind of falls into the realm of like a Sharknado, where it's like you can't really have a critical conversation about it because people go, "But it's Sharknado. It's Jason in space. What do you expect?" I guess the reason he went to space is because Part 9 ends with Freddy's glove coming out. And you're like, "Ooh, they're setting up Freddy versus Jason." But that was in like development hell for so long. They went through so many different scripts and different ideas.
10 years before it came out.
Yeah, it was like almost exactly 10 years, I think. But they wanted to keep the Friday the 13th franchise alive while they were trying to figure out what to do with Freddy versus Jason. So like, well, we don't want to fuck up the timeline, so we'll make it set in the future, and he goes to space. It's like, does it even matter?
So the premise is Jason is... So this must take place after the events of Freddy versus Jason, right?
Sure. It could take place after the events of however many other sequels they want to make.
Okay, that makes sense. But so if Jason is chained up in the Camp Crystal Lake research facility for the government,
run by David Cronenberg.
Oh, I didn't know that.
This movie's super Canadian.
Oh,
our friend Colin.
Yeah.
Worked on this film.
What did he do?
He did the famous holodeck scene.
Oh, no shit.
He worked on that, yeah.
Colin, you never told me this, or maybe you did. Colin? Are you there?
He can't hear you.
Colin! Why did you never tell me this?
Hey, you want a beer?
Or do you want to smoke some pot?
Or we can have premarital sex.
We love premarital sex!
Yeah, so Jason's in a government facility, and they're researching him because he
regenerates dead flesh, because he's Jason.
He's something special.
Yeah.
And then they want to move him, and then he escapes. I'll just cut to the chase. He escapes, and then he runs amok, it kills everybody, and then heroine lady, I don't remember her character's name.
One of the 15 brunette women that's in
one
this
of
movie.
them, yes, the early 2000s ladies with the same haircut who all look alike.
There's one blonde girl, and they killed her first. And then everybody else just looks identical for the rest of the movie.
The same. So Jason gets cryogenically frozen. So does she. Then we enter magic. We enter. This is like some kind of stupid tangent that I would have in movie form.
Yeah.
Where
you come up with something so dumb, but it's entertaining, but nobody would ever make it.
Yes,
but they made it,
and it happened.
Yeah.
And space pirates from the future land on Earth, and Earth has become uninhabitable. It kind of looks like Venus. It's like this windstorm, and it's like global warming or something has like destroyed the planet, and it's uninhabitable. And they land, and they find the lady and Jason. They bring him aboard the spaceship, and then we get Jason in space.
Yeah.
And it is the ugliest movie I've ever seen in my whole life.
Of course, I've seen worse.
It looks like they cobbled together the spaceship set from 10 different TV shows. Like Babylon 5, Battlestar Galactica, Star Trek Deep Space Nine, Sequest, DSV. I mean, who knows?
Yeah.
Visually, the spaceship interiors have no consistency.
Yeah. Yeah, from room to room. Which, I mean, I guess maybe...
There's like Star Trek doors, and they look different than other doors, and doors that look like safe doors. And
yeah,
it looks like a cheap, like Power Rangers mixed with Star Trek. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's so ugly. And then their costumes are even uglier. The girls are wearing like midriffs.
Every one of them has skin showing. Yeah, they don't look like they should be on a spaceship.
No, and they don't.
Which is funny.
Uniforms. They like really like. If you wanted to try to do this movie seriously, I'm sure it was a budget thing. Like, what do we got?
Yeah.
This production shut down. Do they have doors? Yeah, send them over.
Yeah.
You do it like Alien. Like you have like a grimy kind of dark pipes and smoke and like something like that, and that would play well in a horror movie. Jason aboard.
But again, the filmmakers were like, it's Jason in space.
I know.
It's almost like critic proof, because like we know it's dumb, the filmmakers know it's dumb, and they know that we know it's dumb. So nobody's really like trying.
Guys, it's okay. He just wanted his machete back.
And the good part is that they had enough jokes in it to acknowledge that. They didn't take it seriously.
Yeah.
Like there was lots of like humorous moments, especially getting near the end.
Yeah.
I was sadly missing laser guns.
Oh yeah, they have a laser shootout with Jason.
Yeah.
That's the one thing is like the movie is intentionally silly, but Jason is still Jason. He's still Kane Hodder's the only one in the movie taking anything seriously. They don't make Jason silly. Kind of with the costume when he gets the upgrade of the metallic Jason costume, but he's still acting like Jason. They don't have him do silly things.
Yeah.
That's the saving grace, because the humor is a little too... Part of the appeal of the earlier movies for me is like the sincerity of them, because they're all so stupid, but they're played so straight. And this one, it's like, well, everyone's just goofing around.
Can't take more than a poke in the ribs to put down this old dog. That ought to do it.
All the things like that were set up. The girl who gets frozen with Jason gets stabbed by him.
Mm-hmm.
So they introduced this like nanobot technology. They call them ants, but they're nanobots that repair cells. And
we also see the stoner kid who gets his arm cut off.
Yes. And I was thinking, oh my gosh, no one's going to die from Jason. They just run back to that machine. Like that would be kind of funny if
that'd be funny. Yeah.
Pushed it even further. But
Jason looks confused when they keep showing up.
Yeah. But I was like, okay, that machine is going to get used on Jason, and it's going to regenerate him. And then they introduced that android lady, and I'm like, that android lady better fight Jason. And boy, did she fight Jason.
This movie should, though, get some credit, and it doesn't. This is something I learned. I texted Colin, because I was like, hey, you worked on this movie. Do you have any interesting insights or stories or anything? And he told me something I've never heard before. Maybe this information is out there somewhere. I've never heard it, which is that this movie was the very first movie to be all post-production done digitally, including color grading. It was the first movie to be color graded digitally. But what happened was it got shelved for like 2 years. The movie was done, it was edited, post-production was all done. For whatever reason, there's like conflicting stories, but it didn't get released until 2 years later. In between those 2 years, the Coen brothers made Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?, which is now credited as being the first movie to have post-production color grading done digitally. And that was a big thing when that movie came out. There was like articles written about it. It was like a big deal. This is the first movie color graded digitally because that gives you more like granular control over specific colors. And so they were very like specific with the look of that movie. So that movie is now famous in the history of movies for being the first movie color graded digitally. But Jason X beat him to it, but it got pushed back, so no one ever acknowledges it. And when you talk about like the history of like technology in movies, talking about like a Coen Brothers movie sounds a little bit more...
Wait, shut up. Colin? Colin!
He still can't hear you.
Type a comment. Type a comment on X, formerly known as Twitter, explaining this if you could. We'll wait.
Explaining what? What I just explained to you?
Yeah, maybe Colin has an answer.
About what?
The color grading thing.
I just explained what happened.
No, but if it counts by the release date or not. Maybe Colin knows that, you know.
Yeah. I think it
Wait, shut up. He's typing.
Oh, we gotta wait. Okay.
We're going to wait till you type it. Okay, he just finished.
Oh, good.
You've got to be kidding me.
Real quick, I wanted to just bring this up because I'm watching these movies and I'm like, oh my God, this Michael Myers and Freddy, all very clearly like, you know, Nightmare on Elm Street movie, great idea. You know, we've discussed this
Everything you need to know is set up.
One and done, cool movie, perfect concept, solid concept, Halloween, awesome, blah, blah, blah. Friday the 13th, was it Sean Cunningham? He sold it based on the name.
Yeah.
I don't know. He just said it's a cool name. We'll sell the rights.
Didn't even have a story idea. Yeah.
And then even with Freddy, it's like when it keeps going, it's just like, okay, Freddy 2, I don't know. Freddy's dead. So like what always the manifestation, Freddy 3, I don't know. He comes back to life. Freddy 4, they buried his bones in the graveyard, but all the guy did was open up the thing and his bones came back together for no reason.
Well, the dog peed on him.
Dog pissed off fire on him. So it's and then you get into like, oh, his mother, Amanda Kruger, was raped by crazy people, and then Freddy's baby is inside of her, and then. Then there's a snake demon from hell that's it's just like just keep making up lore as it goes, and it can contradict previous lore, and blah blah blah. And then same with Michael Myers, you know, fuck.
He's being controlled by a cult.
Yeah.
At some point,
they just like whatever. We'll add whatever we can to keep it going, and this is like 1,000,000 times that in terms of worse. Now we live in a different era where it's like, yeah, you make a movie and it tanks at the box office, it's done. Now we live in like the Blumhouse era. We're gonna sign this movie for 9 sequels kind of era, right?
We're gonna pay $400 million to make an Exorcist trilogy.
Exactly. So Blumhouse spends $15 million making a movie and it grosses $100 million, regardless of what it is, regardless of quality. Now they have the luxury, instead of like making it up as they go along and just pulling shit out of their ass that doesn't make any sense. Take it, plan out like 6 films and then start with this horror icon character. Just create it. Make a really good first one, and then plan out like what's going to happen in number 2, what's going to happen in number 3, you know, and then like stage it out so that we have this like new icon, this legacy, and this franchise that's just firmly rooted.
Each movie builds on the previous one and actually makes sense as a whole.
Yes, they had the opportunity to do that with the Star Wars sequel trilogy, and they just didn't.
Just botched it. Yeah.
They just didn't. They just made that, and it was like, what are you doing?
Yeah, the more things change, the more they stay the same. Like we're still stuck in that
like
Friday the 13th sequel dilemma.
I mean,
Make it
I'm
up
not
as we
even
go
saying
along.
make a Jason. Like I know.
No, any movie. But that's the thing is like you would think at this point they would know to plan stuff out. And there's still so many examples of them just not. The recent Halloween movies were like that.
Yeah.
They made Halloween 2018 and no idea what they were going to do with the sequels.
Yeah.
They knew they were going to make sequels, but I guess they didn't bother to plan what was going to happen in them.
Yeah, that's my point. Is that you make a Halloween? Let's say if we're back in 2018, Halloween. Who made that? David Gordon Green.
Yeah.
You make that, and it's $20 million, $30 million budget. Even it's going to make your money. It's going to be a success. Plan that out.
Yeah.
Horror is like instant.
It's a guaranteed hit.
So pick a new horror icon, plan out 7 films, make it really solid, and we don't have to deal with dissecting 10 of these films that are a fucking mess years from now. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
You just have to go, wow, I can't wait to watch the next one because they're gonna tell us more about that magic dagger that's been talked.
Because they set it up in the movie.
Yes, we know all about these things. They didn't just pull that magic dagger out of their ass.
Some folks have a strange idea of entertainment.
Burn,